This episode has been brought to you by justinform.com. If you're tired of being censored, tired of having your data stolen and sold, go to justinform.com, a social media site where all voices are welcome.
What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into today's segment of Mikase, Sukase, and as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. First of all, I do want to give a shout out to Julian Assange. I want to go ahead and start the show off with that because he did have this is now his third online vigil. I participated in it, Tim Black participated in it, H.A. Goodman, Kim.com, Cassandra Fairbanks participated, a lot of people from both the left and the right. We all participated because, Lee Camp participated, Jimmy Dore participated, Ron Placone even came in, Jamal Thomas came in. So essentially, whether or not we're on the left or the right, we all feel this kinship to Julian Assange because in a lot of ways we owe our careers and the success of our careers over the last couple of years to Julian Assange, because a lot of us had been alleging a lot of the things that turned up in WikiLeaks, but it was only because of the sacrifices of a couple and Assange's dedication to a nonpartisan approach to freedom of the press. His willingness to expose the Democratic establishment the same way that he exposed the Republican establishment. That was that's a big deal. So we all went to pay our respects, talk about how important Julian Assange was, and is to the movement. To just transparency, and the fact that he is being pretty much kept against his will is sad. It's upsetting, especially coming from Donald Trump, who was literally celebrating Julian Assange during the election, if you all recall. Pretty much thanked him over and over again, via debates and on Twitter and things like that, because he said he owes his presidency to Julian Assange. So I was hoping that there would be a pardon by now, or whatever. He hasn't been charged with anything. He's been exonerated by the international community, so we're still trying to figure out what exactly he'd be pardoned for. But now it looks like they're just trying to use extrajudicial methods to, pretty much deteriorate his health without him getting any help, which is wrong. There's no integrity in that. What exactly are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to decimate WikiLeaks? If they are, it's a pretty poor job. Because, the truth of the matter is you might end up galvanizing more people. You might end up making WikiLeaks stronger if you end up allowing Assange to pass away in this fashion. So do the right thing, Trump. I encourage you all to go and tweet at Donald Trump. Let him know that he's holding not an enemy of the state, not somebody who's treasonous or treacherous, but indeed a patriot for the average person, for the person who isn't fighting for the establishment, but we're merely victims of that establishment. Not only us, but really he's an international treasure because he exposed what was happening in Iraq. He exposed what was happening in Afghanistan, and there have been people held accountable from the Republican Party in the same fashion that we are now seeing people held accountable by the Republican Party, but because of what Julian Assange was able to expose. So definitely go check out that vigil. You can go to Unity4J with the number 4. You can go there, unity4j.com, or I'm going to actually have my segment on YouTube this evening or tomorrow morning, so you'll actually be able to check out my segment. I was fortunate enough to be once again interviewed by Elizabeth Lee Voss. So make sure you check out her writings, check out that interview. You can find her on Just Informed. Speaking of which, people, Facebook's getting a little crazy, right? It is about time we kind of just took a little hiatus permanently away from Facebook. Like I said, you all know, well, first of all, for the first time this evening, we are streamlining live streaming from Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as usual, but we are also simulcasting from Just Inform. So if you are watching right now, you can actually go to the MCSC page on Just Inform, justinform.com, and watch live streams there, and also watch live streams from any of your favorite journalists when they get when they request to become verified and get approved. So glad to have you all. If this is your first time watching on Just Inform, greatly appreciate you joining. If this is not your first time at the rodeo, but this is just your first time being part of the simulcast on Just Inform, thank you for joining as well. But everybody wants to make sure they register for Just Inform, because that's the only place that when I exclusively live stream to Just Inform, you will only be able to catch it there, and you will only be able to catch it live. So definitely go and register for Just Inform ASAP at justinform.com, JUSTNFORM. And I do want to go ahead and get started. So it's kind of a sad weekend, because we found out that Ed Schultz passed away. Now, for those of you who does not know who Ed Schultz is actually a journalist who used to consider himself a conservative, but then he saw the direction that the conservative or the Republican Party was heading in and decided to switch to Democrat. But the reason that he was able to switch to Democrat, or from conservative to Democrat, from MSNBC, which is where he used to have his own show, to RT, where he was finally given a different show, was because Ed Wood is one of those people who kind of enveloped himself in something bigger than a party or a name, or an affiliation, or trying to check the list, check the blocks of a list, depending on what psychology or what party you belong to. Ed believed in two things. He believed in journalistic integrity, clearly, and he believed in something bigger than Republican or Democrat. He was one of the journalists that would talk about every president who let us down as far as the labor force was concerned. He was one of those journalists that he tried to cover Bernie Sanders at his announcement. He was there ready to go live, and he got the call from up top telling him to shut it down. MSNBC subsequently fired him shortly after that interaction. But he tried to cover Bernie Sanders. He told people the wave was coming. I remember when he was describing Hillary's loss before she even lost, he kind of figured it was over for her. Funny enough, like on election night. And all his complaints, no, they weren't ad hominem attacks towards Hillary per se. It critiqued some of the things that she did, and it critiqued some of the things that she did during the election, and Bill Clinton as well. But he was more mad. He was more upset at how she treated the people. The fact that remember when she thought she was going to win, she legitimately took the night off. Remember that by 12 a.m. or so, probably even before that, Hillary Clinton just went off to bed. So on the night of her victory, she wasn't even going to be available to give a speech to the crowd that volunteered for her, to the crowd that voted for her, to the crowd that defended her numerous amount of atrocities, to the crowd that was with her despite knowing everything she had done, to the ones that had slandered Bernie people, slandered Bernie himself. She left them right where she left Bernie supporters. They were a little bit closer to the doorstep. We was about 3 steps down. She said she didn't need us. They were with her, but she won't with them. At least not that night. Maybe she should have been with them to console her after she got that ass whooped. But Ed Schultz was more upset by her hubris and this. She's just detached from the people she's supposed to represent. And when you put a lot of time and effort into something, one thing that I loved about Bernie was he knew that his movement was indeed grassroots. Taking a picture with one person could make the world for them. Like, no matter what happens at the end of the day, I'm going to have the picture of myself and Bernie Sanders during our private meeting. Like, I'm going to have that picture framed because of what it signifies for me, and what that means for anybody who's an activist or an organizer, uh, who thinks that, that the process is too big. It's too big for them. That it's bigger than they are. You never know when you could be shaking the next president's hand, or shaking the next Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's hand, or shaking the next Tulsi Gabbard's hands, or Nina Turner's hands. Keep reaching out, keep fighting, and you never, like I said, you never know what picture might be it. But for Bernie Sanders to actually take individual pictures and selfies with people, it showed that he had a great appreciation for the time that was put in, not just the money, because the on the ground work was the grueling part. People who got to donate to Bernie had it easy. Uh, Phone banking and knocking on the doors and the organizing through all the infiltration. That was a difficult part. So Ed did eventually go to work for RT, in case you didn't know. And the great part about Ed working for RT was that he was actually able to give that insight that others didn't have the platform to give. What I mean by that is he called out MSNBC, saying that they were more controlling and authoritative than RT had ever been. In fact, nobody had ever guided a story, guided a message, told him what he could not speak about. He talked about the same things on RT as he talked about on MSNBC, except for he was given more freedom to be a little bit more persuasive and opinionated in his discussions, because his shows, from what I can see, were always based in fact. So for him to actually come out and call out MSNBC at the same time defending RT, I have friends that work at RT. We have progressives that work at RT. Lee Camp works, is with RT with the Redacted Tonight. Samira Khan is a reporter, former Miss New Jersey. Jesse Ventura, former, what was he? He was a senator. I want to say he was a senator. Of Minnesota, and he's planning on running for president in 2020. So these are all progressives, and it's crazy. Peter Lavelle is a weird conservative kind of progressive guy who moved from here a long time ago and has been working for RT ever since. So like, there's a lot of different people from all sides of the political spectrum on RT. And so, but there's this fear mongering that's been going on, like, this neo McCarthyism that we call journalism, that RT is just Putin's little puppet, where he hands off scripts to Lee Camp, and he writes all of his jokes for Redacted Tonight. That's how a lot of the neoliberal media would cover RT, and unfortunately, they show no tact, no respect. These are the same people that were screaming, "You better respect Nancy Reagan when she passed, and you better respect Barbara Bush, and you better respect these people." Mind you, when Ed Schultz passed, I didn't see Joanne Reed tweet out anything showing respect. I didn't see Rachel Maddow. I might have missed it, but I didn't see it. I didn't see Rachel Maddow tweet out. I didn't see any of MSNBC. I didn't see the MSNBC page tweet out about Ed Schultz. They didn't do a story covering him. If they did, I would appreciate it if you could link it to me, but I did not see one. CNN didn't talk about it. Unfortunately, the only people that I saw talking about it were of course, RT, right? And then after that, it was independent journalists. That was pretty much it. Now, there was one publication that we all know and love that decided to give their final and last respects about one Ed Schultz. Yeah, Ed Schultz used to be this is the Daily Beast. And they said Ed Schultz used to be a progressive, outspoken progressive on MSNBC. First of all, especially when Ed was there was no such thing as an outspoken progressive. You got outspoken neoliberalism, that is Rachel Maddow, and outspoken shillism and selloutism, and Uncle Tom and Jemamaism, that is Joanne Reed. But the outspoken progressive that tried to back up his stances on labor and unions and pretty much any fight that he could fight for the people, he tried to be an outspoken progressive by going to cover Bernie Sanders live on the day that he announced he was running for president. And guess what happened? Yeah, y'all crushed him for being an outspoken progressive. So while he was working for for MSNBC, the Daily Beast codified him as an outspoken progressive. A little bit later in that paragraph. So now he worked for RT before he passed away, back by the Kremlin. You know, he celebrated Donald Trump in the way he won the election and even celebrated some of Trump's policies. Rest in peace. I'm not joking. It was a Daily Beast. I encourage you to go watch Tim Black's video covering it as well. He did a fantastic job covering that piece of filth they call journalism. But isn't it crazy that the neoliberal establishment can look at you and tell you, respect people like Nancy Reagan, respect Ronald Reagan, respect Barbara Bush. We should have more respect for George Bush Sr. He's sickly and ill. Ed Schultz did nothing but the right thing. I remember the quote that stood on my mind the longest was when he said, I'm happy to know that I'm the same person that came out of MSNBC as the person who walked in. And that's not that's not the same thing a lot of people at MSNBC can say. Hell, except for Rachel Maddow, she's definitely probably the same person. You don't get offered $1 million job in reporting, okay? And you don't get a $1 million job in reporting the truth ever, and that never happens. So, once again, the Daily Beast showing that they are nothing but shills for the establishment. What a surprise. Right? What a surprise. So, I don't know if you all know this. Net neutrality has kind of been extinguished. If you don't know what net neutrality is, some people thought that it meant censorship. In a way, it could be considered censorship. But it's kind of something bigger than just mere censorship. Censorship is usually like on a spectrum of maybe A, B, C. You know, you have either total censorship, no censorship, or like kind of close to the B, which is like, we'll censor you when we kind of feel like you're taking it too far. But with net neutrality, that little spectrum has just become a rectangular sphere. By that I mean, not only do you have to deal with the censorship that we know we deal with every day, that's true, but now you add a different element, because it's about throttling data. So like, they'll let you have access to certain data, like certain unlimited data, but don't expect to be able to stream on that unlimited data. Don't expect to be able to watch your videos if you're studying via YouTube, for example, which I know a lot of college students do. Like, don't expect to be able to watch those all day, but you can go on Facebook if you'd like. Don't expect to have all the cable you're paying for now, if you leave your current plans, by the way. But don't expect to have all the cable you're paying for now and all the internet you're paying for right now in that same little bundled package. It's not happening. Now, this is big for individuals, but for small businesses who are just now getting started, this could be even more problematic. It gives another edge to big corporations because they can just pay for whatever. They don't care. Also, they get subsidized anyway. So all the stuff that they're gonna, they got those those nice little accountants who figure out ways to make us pay for them screwing us. That sounds kind of messed up now that I think about it. We subsidize corporations so they can screw us literally daily. That sucks really bad. But yeah. So with small businesses, some people may ask, well, don't small businesses get subsidized? In a way, they don't necessarily get subsidized. They do, but I don't like calling it subsidized. They get to not have to pay a bunch of stuff back out because they already paid for it. Like some subsidies for corporations, like they don't even have to spend $1 really, but they just get a subsidy just because they want to offer them, to incorporate. They want to incentivize them to incorporate in a particular state or build businesses in that particular area. So, but with small businesses, upfront costs hurt a lot more. Getting a refrigerator or a printer could be make or break for a small business. So I want to read this article about what AT&T has done now that net neutrality has finally been lifted. So it says, fresh off an apparently successful effort to gut a net neutrality bill in California, AT&T is taking a victory lap with the announcement of Watch TV. It sounds great, right? We're starting off on such a good note. Let's continue. A sketchy streaming TV. This is actually in a legitimate article. When an article starts off its explanation with sketchy as the adjective to describe a plan it's about to discuss from a big corporation, it's about to take a turn for the worse. But let's continue. So it calls... oh, excuse me, not sketchy. That was a Freudian slip on my behalf. It said skinny. I thought it said sketchy. Freudian slip, my bad. But a skinny streaming bundle that finally shows us what the internet will look like without net neutrality protections. Launching next week, Watch TV offers 31 channels compared to the thousands that you have right now. So you'll go from thousands of channels with nothing to watch, with 31 channels, with still nothing to watch, including a handful from Time Warner, which AT&T just recently acquired in an impossibly bad legal case from the U.S. Department of Justice that was failed to be stopped by the U.S. Department of Justice. For $15, it comes free with AT&T's recently announced unlimited data plans. This for $15, 31 channels. This is what monopoly looks like. But let's continue. Let me explain why. What does $15, a price that makes Watch TV the cheapest streaming bundle option on the market, edging out Sling's basic package that costs $20? What does it get you exactly? Well, not a whole lot. If you're a big fan of mid-tier cable networks, then if you're not a big fan of mid-tiered cable networks, then you'd probably scroll past all the channels. That's what they said. The lineup is highlighted by Time Warner properties, including, oh my God, do you want to talk about a propaganda machine? That's literally what AT&T, so they make us poor shit, right? And now they're saying, hey, don't worry about it. We got something for you too. Take a look. We're offering you for $15 a month. Cartoon Network. I don't have really that much of a problem with Cartoon Network. It's lost a step. Since I was a kid, but let's continue. CNN, TBS, TNT, along with Viacom channels, Comedy Central, BET, VH1, MTV2, not MTV, which is kind of weird. Most of the rest of Watch TV's offering include throw-ins that you may not have heard of. Next week, AT&T will make available 2 different but equally terribly named unlimited plans. Unlimited and Unlimited More. Both plans offer a $15 monthly credit that can be applied to purchase DirecTV satellite TV service. The Unlimited and More plans start at $70 per month for a single line and offers users access to watch TV for free. Oh, how nice of them. I just want you to understand something. The package for my AT&T unlimited data plan right now is like the phone service itself is $35 roughly, give or take, and the actual data part is $30. So understand, this is data per line. And what that $70 gets you is you get those 31 channels that you're never going to watch, but you also it offers users access to watch TV and video streaming quality that will be capped at 480p. They didn't. So now you've bought your iPhone 10 or Samsung Galaxy S15 and a half Note. Right before 2 months later, Samsung releases another Samsung Galaxy X15.75 Note 2 iCloud version because that Samsung apparently just can't get it right the first time, or once every 2 months they have to, continue to release phones, but that's neither here nor there. My point is, you've paid for this quality with your phone. I'm a big stickler when it comes to quality because I have bad eyes and I don't like straining my eyes. I'm sure a lot of you are too. But also, if I'm paying for a certain quality, I want to get that quality. I'm pretty sure you all feel the same way. It is pathetic to me that AT&T has gotten so greedy. Mind you, this is a giant that was able to buy both DirecTV and Time Warner. Do you understand how significant that is? In places where people have only really had those options their entire lives, like I know that I was kind of in that situation with before CenturyLink became a big thing in North Carolina. That was pretty much those are the only two options: DirecTV and Time Warner Cable. They had a monopoly on the market, and these are two companies that literally had monopolies everywhere. In most of the states, they had this. Very similar to like if Comcast was the biggest in your state. That's kind of like what Time Warner is in North Carolina, or was anyway. And so AT&T, a phone company, was able to buy out the largest satellite service, the second, they're the largest or the second largest cable company, and now they get to manipulate all the plans and the channels and all that good stuff how they want to. So think about how this is not a move you make overnight. This has been a planned, like this has been in the works, had to be, for at least 2 years. Had to be. No way it wasn't. Think about it. Net neutrality gets dialed back. Why Obama even put Ajit Pai on the committee to begin with is beyond me. And then, of course, Trump made him the head of that committee, which then introduced legislation despite most of the country wanting to retain net neutrality laws. Ajit Pai right now is under investigation, federal investigation for, corruption, bribery, and all that good stuff. And y'all are trying to figure out whose team these people are playing for still. Trump appointed this guy. Some people think that deregulation is the answer to everything. It is not the answer. You understand? They're telling you $70 a month. They're telling you $70 a month, but your streaming quality will be capped. So you're actually, and once again, that's just for the data. That is not for the actual phone line stuff. That's not for your texting. That's not for your calling. So you're going to be paying roughly $100 a month to get less. So the unlimited and more premium starts at $8 a month. Oh, how sweet of them. You get 15 gigs of hotspot data. Oh my God. How sweet of them. It also gives subscribers the ability to choose premium streaming services that they will get for free each month. So that's kind of nice because they get HBO, Showtime, Starz, Amazon Music Unlimited, Pandora Premium. Actually, those are kind of lame. Nobody who watches HBO. If you're watching HBO for anything other than Game of Thrones, you need to get off of this stream. Okay, we've been moved past HBO. We haven't gotten past Game of Thrones yet. One more season. Bend at the knee. Bend at the knee for net neutrality for the oligarchy. You will bend the knee. But there is kind of a bright side. Kind of. Don't switch your cell phone company. Because the good thing, there's two good things. One, I know with AT&T, you can pretty much get grandfathered into any plan that you'd like. I'm still grandfathered into my unlimited plan from 2010, maybe 2011. I think closer to 2011, and it's 2018. My unlimited plans for my iPad and my phone are still the same. I have not gotten any update. They've been trying to sell me on the other BS plans. Don't get me wrong. We would like to switch you into this. I was like, you can kiss my ass. I'm not switching out of a damn thing. Not gonna get me. Sorry. So if you're in a plan, make sure that you keep it. If you like it, keep it. Because they can't, if you catch them like regularly controlling the output of your pixels, like your resolution, the 480p, 1020p, 1080p, 720p, 4K, whatever. If you catch them doing that regularly, and you have a plan that where you are getting this guarantee, then there is grounds for a lawsuit, and I'm sure that we're going to see it. I mean, AT&T gets sued all the time, so it wouldn't be surprising. Had to get my coffee. But yeah, that would be grounds for a lawsuit. So the other good thing is that there are a lot of states right now out there protesting and fighting net neutrality, saying that if you do not adhere to the net neutrality laws in whatever, like I know California is fighting for it right now. I know that New York is. A few places are. So it definitely would be worth the wait. Don't just jump into something. Don't ever feel pressured to switch your phone plan, because almost every single phone plan that I know, every single company that I know, you'd be able to grandfather yourself in. So be petty. Don't switch. Don't let them sell you some BS. I know some of y'all started seeing the commercials from Verizon. Oh, we have an unlimited plan for you, and one for you, and one for you. Motherfucker, we all just want the same unlimited plan. How many ways can you dice up and dissect unlimited? It's only one word. It means without limit. I don't understand what's so hard to comprehend about that. Don't try to give me and my mom two different unlimited plans. My mom, maybe she wants to stream 21 gigs of data that month. Maybe I want to stream 100. But we don't know what we want to stream, which is why we paid for a plan that is a just-in-case plan. Just in case I feel like doing a bunch of shit on my internet, I want to be able to actually get it done and know that I'm not going to have to be charged an X amount of money. That's my rant about that. So, apparently, Hillary Clinton has not learned her freaking lesson, people. She don't get it. I don't know why. What's so hard to understand about we don't like you? What is so difficult to comprehend about you weren't good enough to beat Obama? You called Trump the worst candidate in the world, had every poll going into your favor, had all of them was with you, apparently. That's what they said, they was with her. Clearly they weren't. They weren't with you on election day. Yeah. Take that to the bank where you burned up $900 million to take a huge loss. But people in your own party are telling you to stay away. You understand this? People, I don't understand. What will it take for this woman to take a damn hint? You tell me. I don't know. I've run out of ideas. How can someone lose to a candidate as bad as Donald Trump? I don't mean bad. I mean, yeah, you may have the way you feel about him versus the way I feel about him, but I don't mean bad like he wasn't bad in the tactician. Like, in a way of a tactician, he was genius. He knew what his base was. He knew what the majority of the country was. He took the general talking points that everybody liked and didn't like, and didn't take shit from nobody along the way, which was smart. It was tactful. I mean, it was tactical. It wasn't tactful. It was the total opposite of tactful. But but when I say bad, I mean, let's compare. Trump was like laughed at from the beginning. All the polls were being used to pretty much favor you from the beginning. Trump even had the establishment against him, like the establishment right and the establishment left against him. You outraised him 2-1, right? Almost double the amount of money that Trump raised and outspent him. Trump is brazen. He said some ignorant stuff. This man had more conspiracy theories and some facts released about him than, hell, even you at times. Except for the world blindly accepted all of these things. Some were true, some weren't. Whereas for Hillary, everything you said about her was a Republican right-wing conspiracy. But the difference about that was, yeah, she was able to dodge. She was able to actually dodge people when it came to like the critiques, like the Black Lives Matter critique, super predators, you out here pushing people out the room. You were able to dodge them. Trump didn't dodge them. He said, well, that's locker room talk. If you go to any locker room in any football team in the NFL, you would hear that most of them do speak like this. It isn't right. It isn't appropriate. That's just what boys do. I'm sure that all of you will forgive me. And by next week, we will definitely not even be worried about this because I will definitely win because Hillary really sucks. She sucks a lot. She sucks tremendously, fantastically, and libtardedly. So you don't have to worry about this. Let's just move on. And it worked. It freaking worked. He actually was bodying. He was taking the blows to the body. Every accusation was assumed to be true because in the court of public opinion, people just cheer for the team they want to cheer for. Technically, Tom Brady did cheat. Okay, not Deflategate, that was BS. Well, not Tom Brady. The Patriots cheated. But if you ask a Patriots fan, they were being tactical. They were ahead of the game. You know, they were strategizing. It's kind of like that with politics, clearly. So everybody believed everything about Trump. And for Hillary, nobody really cared. If they did care, they would defend her to their last dying breath and claim you are a Putin puppet. That's what makes that so amazing because everybody just believed what happened, like what was accused of Donald Trump. Everything. They even laughed at him for saying that he was going to test or that he was going to actually check the validity of the election results, which is like, hold on. We're laughing at people for exercising their right as a candidate, and something that I consider is just it's smart to do. You never know what could happen. They were laughing at Trump for saying that he was going to make sure that the elections were audited if he had lost. I'm still bitter at Bernie Sanders for not auditing the results of the primaries, at least to a significant degree. He did request audits in some cases, but you know what I mean. So for Obama to come out and laugh at Trump saying, "Oh, he's being a sore loser. This isn't some country in the Middle East. This isn't some country in Africa or in Eastern Europe. We're an industrialized country. We're an industrialized nation. And for Trump to just not admit defeat, which we all know is coming because everybody's with her and it's her turn and she's bought everybody off. And if I don't cooperate and she doesn't win, what about my legacy people? She's going to tear me through the dirt. Y'all don't know what I've been dealing with over the last 8 years. Please. I don't want to end up suicided. But, you know, I'm just speculating that part. I don't know if that's really how that conversation went. Probably, though. But that's what we're laughing at now? We're laughing at candidates saying, hey, can we make sure that the votes that were put in by the people who expect this democracy to work correctly, can we make sure that those were counted correctly, that they're going to the appropriate people? Like, so maybe, perhaps, possibly, I'm going on a limb, maybe a little far-fetched, try to maintain our democracy, at least maintain the appearance that our democracy is legitimate, although we know at this point it's kind of mostly not. Can we try? No, that's crazy talk. I was really pissed when they laughed at Trump for that. You know, Trump is a bully at times too, but for most times he's a bully. But okay, so what happened to when they go low, we go high? Respect. You know what Obama would have gotten if he would have said what he should have said? He would have gotten much more respect from all people watching. When Trump said, you know what, I'm going to contest the election results because that's my duty. That is the least I can do for those who have put in time and effort to campaign for me, work for me, vote for me. And I want to make sure that those votes were counted correctly. Of course, he would never say it in that many words, but that was the gist of what you could take away from him contesting the election, because he's very well aware. He's bought off elections. He admitted it. So he's very well aware of how corrupt the system is. If Obama would have actually took a step back and said, you know what, I'm going to confuse everybody, throw everybody for a loop. Trump is absolutely right. In fact, we should always have our candidates audit elections so we can make sure that the voices of the American people are being recognized. Good on you, Trump. You know, everybody would have took a step back, paused. It would have been international news, and it would have won major cool points for him. And it would have taken some of the wind out of his sails, because now Trump has kind of ran a lot on, I'm the opposite of Obama. And so what happens when Obama agrees with him? He doesn't really know how to handle when his enemies agree with him sometimes. So, so it should be noted that Hillary Clinton clearly does not know how to take any experience and learn from it. It doesn't matter how embarrassing, how revealing, it doesn't matter. Apparently. Now, many of you may be asking, why do I feel this way? Why do I think she's running? Well, according to Daily Mail and a few other publications, Hillary Clinton has been walking around and putting on her fundraiser shoes. Her little tap dancing fundraiser shoes. Yes, sir, Mr. Establishment. I sell you this country tomorrow if you give me $1,500 million and claim it's for charity. Her little tap dance with her $3,000 pantsuits. She had she raised $1.5 million for the immigrants. I'm not gonna lie to you. What? I don't want to be cynical. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to say I'm cynical. I'm not cynical. I'm not cynical. But people, let's be very clear here. $1.5 million for immigration. What the hell does that even mean? What is $1.5 million for immigration? For what? What? Who are you giving the money to? And what are you gonna give it to specific immigration? I don't want Hillary Clinton around no immigration, nothing, nada, nothing. All them damn orphans that disappear under her watch and the Clinton Foundation watch in Haiti. Nope, not even. I don't want you nowhere near immigration anything, sir, ma'am, whatever you are. You evil witch of a demon, you. But she's essentially, when somebody goes behind closed doors and starts collecting literally millions for a cause they could care less about just 2-3 years ago, for a cause that not only could they care less about now, they could care less about it, but while she was running, she sounded almost no different than Donald Trump did, if you all recall. She was all about the wall. A lot of the issues in South America that are forcing people to want to migrate from their countries into ours is because of her. A lot of the issues that people think are being caused by socialism in Venezuela, it's actually not socialism that's the issue. They are rich as hell in oil. If you think socialism is going to stop an oil-rich country from prospering, then you have another thing coming, sir. It's not how it works. But they have, however, been destabilized. There was a regime change initiated by Hillary Clinton, propaganda everywhere. We already know about Honduras. We already know about Ecuador. We already know, Haiti. This woman doesn't do a damn thing for charity. But she is getting her contacts together. She's taking some campaign promises, and she said, hey, the country is so unhappy with Donald Trump over immigration that they're going to forget every other reason they hate me. Woman, you cannot be this stupid. You're really going to embarrass yourself again. Like, do you understand, people? If she runs again, they will try to cheat. Okay. Make no mistake about that. They will absolutely try to cheat. And I feel like that's why I think her comeback has a lot to do with the superdelegates issue, because they believe that Hillary Clinton could make it a contested convention. Whereas Kamala Harris, in reality, let's be real, she gets smacked by Bernie Sanders, really, or Tulsi Gabbard. Cory Booker, same thing. He gets smacked by Tulsi Gabbard or Bernie Sanders in the primary. It would be way too hard to cheat for them. You're going up against a woman of color, veteran, who is extremely well spoken, very astute when it comes to the issues, on the right side of the war in Syria, on the right side of the anti-Russia rhetoric, all about accountability, paper ballots, challenging primaries, anti-regime change, anti-war platform. Like, you're not going to beat her. And Bernie Sanders is Bernie Sanders. He has the most name recognition out of any Democrat in the country. He's not even a Democrat. That's not good for your party, by the way. So, what does that mean? That means they've just made it so that superdelegates can't vote until there's a clear tie at the convention after the first vote. Or I think it might even be after the second vote. I have to verify that. But you might not even have to worry about that, because Bernie Sanders may obliterate, especially because California's coming so early, Bernie Sanders may obliterate everybody, or Tulsi Gabbard even may obliterate it, or Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie are so neck and neck that they just throw each other, whoever is closest to winning at the convention, they just throw their delegates toward the other one. And either scenario that you're going to end up with leads to the Democratic Party losing, despite trying to cheat their way to the general election. Now, with that being said, if you enter Hillary into that factor, you can always use the excuse once again, name recognition. Well, it's her term now. Why do you think that correct, not excuse me, not correct the record, but David Brock and what's his name? And Peter Dow, even trying to reach out to the Bernie people. He reached out to Jeff Campbell on Twitter. I think he's going on the Humanist Report. But Media Matters of David Brock and that whole crew has their own Facebook, people. They literally are running it now. They've ramped up the censorship. Even with this net neutrality thing, like, it could get worse before it gets better. But even with Bernie's name recognition, it would still be so close that now, all of a sudden, she gets all the establishment votes because we already don't even count the absentee ballots. Don't even count the provisional ballots. We know where theirs are going, right? We already know how that story ends if Hillary Clinton wins. Tulsi and Bernie could potentially split each other's votes. So people would then start to believe, oh, well, clearly more people want Hillary Clinton, right? This is why we need ranked choice voting, by the way. Hillary Clinton I don't think she would get past the first round if ranked choice voting was a thing. If she did, she'd be pretty much at the back end. Because the way it works is everybody who would have Tulsi Gabbard number 1 would have Bernie Sanders at number 2, and everybody that has Bernie Sanders at number 2 would have Tulsi Gabbard at number 1. They would have more 1s and 2s between them that eventually Hillary Clinton might be able to place third, but a lot of people wanted youth and exuberance, so that they would go with Kamala Harris and they would want another woman of color. So, like, she probably wouldn't even make it out the first round with ranked choice voting, but because of our really bad system that we have right now, she could potentially make it. She could cheat, and the whole world could pretend once again that she didn't. I, however, will be attending as many Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders rallies as I possibly can. Hopefully in different capacities, wink, wink. But we need to make sure that we're monitoring. I know a lot of you are dim exit, which is fine. So this conversation isn't for you if you're dim exit. But if you're a dementer, you need to be holding your elections accountable. Stop just accepting L's on face. Stop just taking losses and be like, well, we didn't campaign hard enough. We didn't. No, a lot of you did. A lot of you did the hard work. But Nancy Pelosi walked out the gate with 70,000 votes and nobody questioned it. When nobody else had a vote, which means almost every single absentee ballot and provisional ballot went to her, if not every one of them. That is ludicrous, people. That is insanity. They can just say that because, well, who's counting them? Who's counting provisional ballots right now? You tell me. So it's time to get it in gear. It's time to start having those conversations again. If you're one of those people who are just absolutely not going to participate in the Democratic primary at all whatsoever, then more power to you. I am honestly going to take my vote between Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie Sanders, and go from there. But like I said, the conversation really needs to be not even on party politics. It needs to be on how do we start fixing the system and addressing the infrastructural issues that are keeping third parties out, that are keeping independent candidates out. There should be no reason why a Green Party candidate or a Libertarian candidate has to go out and get signatures and get approved in states to run when they have more than 1 million people apiece registered into their parties. It makes no sense. It's not fair. So we're going to take a short break. 5 minutes. We'll be back at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Don't go anywhere. We will be. All right, people. We are back. Thank you all so much for tuning into the second half of tonight's episode of Mi Casa es Su Casa. I am pretty excited about this news that I don't think a lot of you all have heard at this point, but it's extremely important. It's something that we've been kind of upset about for quite a while involving Syria, and it's because the only thing that we have really asked for with Syria is that, hey, I think that those people are tired enough of random bombs going off in their backyards for speculation, from bombs and guns and bullets and shells that we paid for. So we don't know whether or not Assad did it. Yes, it's suspicious a little bit that Trump is going back and forth with his administration about pulling troops out of Syria right before the alleged chemical attacks went off. But hey, we don't know whether or not Assad actually did it. Yes, even the last time that Trump pulled out the CIA from Syria, and then chemical attacks coincidentally went off then too. They didn't have any proof and then attacked for no reason. And then we found out later from Mattis that there was no chemical weapons attack, or at least no evidence of a chemical weapons attack. So that doesn't, ignore that too. We don't know whether or not Assad was guilty or not guilty, but that's fine. All I ask, all you ask, all that most of us asked is, before we go, destroying homes, bombing facilities, throwing out dictator-esque propaganda like, oh, Assad, the ruthless dictator. Assad, his people hate him, they're crying, they want to leave. All 50 rebel factions that seem to be funded by the exact same people. They're rebels. They're not ISIS. What are you talking about? That didn't happen. We don't know what you're talking about. All we ask is that you investigate. Now, I might be crazy, but I think that's a pretty low bar. I think so. You feel like that? I think that most of us would agree. Hey, before we bring down hellfire on anybody, can we investigate? This is crazy, right? Coming from the country that before they ever wanted to say a negative word about Hillary Clinton, they had to investigate for 2 years, seemingly. They're still investigating about Clinton. Still, to this day. We have to make sure we have absolute proof, abso-freaking-lute proof, before we just hold one person accountable, and everybody attached to her. But we got to do that before we hold somebody accountable. But when we're launching rockets at innocent people, or potentially innocent people, you have a little bit more leeway with that. The burden of proof isn't as high. We don't really need an investigation before we just let the rockets off the chain. That would tell them our plan. But I guess what you would call a mixture of great news and bad news came out of the OPCW today. So for those of you who do not know, the OPCW is the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. That has literally, I'm not exaggerating, they've never done a damn job. If you know anything about Desert Storm, then you know that we were lighting it up with the 50 cal rounds, for example. The tips of them was unenriched uranium. So like the videos, if you ever seen a video like with a freaking like a tank or the top of another truck fly into the air, like that came from explosions from the 50 cal rounds and from other explosive rounds that were like tipped with unenriched nuclear uranium that left radiation in both our soldiers and theirs literally now. Actually, that it's Cody Snodgrass alleges that has a lot to do with the Oklahoma City bombing, because a lot of the federal files were in that building when there was about to be a lawsuit. So yeah. Anyway, so the OPCW has clearly not done its job 100%. At least in at least when it comes to the monitoring the United States. But We kind of create these organizations ourselves, so it's very unlikely that any of them will ever hold us accountable. God, whoo, Lord help us when it does happen. We have to take those licks. Kind of sucks to say that, but somebody's like, well, what happens if people invade y'all? Like, I'm going to hold it down for my country and my family and my friends. Don't get me wrong, but there's still going to be a huge part of me that's like, man, I'm fighting somebody else's fight. It's like, you know, your friend who starts talking trash, but they small, and they just call you to do the fighting for them all the time. They're like, man, you better stop talking trash to me, dog. Like, my homeboy Niko got you. Like, you keep this up, I'm going to have to get behind him so that he can handle this situation, because that's the person I actually bring in to handle these situations, because I can't get involved in any physical labor. I'm too important for that. So I'll have that guy. I'll hide behind him, and you keep talking, though. He got your number. That's kind of like how it would feel to fight against some of these countries, because we've been guilty a lot of the time. So, according to the OPCW report, they did issue a fact-finding mission into the chemical weapons use allegations in Douma, Syria in 2018, and the Al Hamadaniya and Karm Al Tarab in 2016. So, this is why. The fact-finding mission, which was initiated on July 8th, of the Organization of Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, or the OPCW, issued an interim report on the FFM's investigation regarding the allegations of chemical weapons use in Douma, Syria, April 7th, 2018. The fact-finding activities in Douma included on-site visits to collect environmental samples, interviews with witnesses, data collection, and all those types of things. In a neighboring country, the fact-finding team gathered or received biological and environmental samples, and they conducted witness interviews. Let's see how thorough they were. The OPCW designated labs conducted analysis. The results show that no organophosphorus nerve agents or their degradation products were detected in the environmental samples or in the plasma samples taken from alleged casualties. Along with explosive residues, various chlorinated organic chemicals were found in samples from 2 sites, for which there is a full chain of custody. Now, let me clarify this, people. Chlorinated organic chemicals. First of all, let me just say that organic chemicals is kind of weird, but whatever. Do you clean your house? Do you have Febreze? Do you have Clorox bleach wipes? Do you like anything of the sort? Those are all chlorinated chemicals. So that's why they premise with saying, by the way, the results show that no organophosphorus nerve agents or their degradation products were tested in the environmental samples or in the plasma taken from alleged victims. So what you were telling me, people, is that we literally launch rockets at facilities. I don't know what the facilities were. I don't know what they were for anymore. Okay. But they didn't, nobody. I'm like, this is getting frustrating. Because how could you, I'm like, I must be a coward. Because how could you live in a country like Syria? Hell, in a country like Palestine, in a country like Venezuela, Honduras, Iraq, Afghanistan, even Iran right now, knowing that the biggest juggernaut, weapons-wise, artillery, economics, and in just power wise. And their little butt buddy Great Britain, they can unleash hellfire on you for literally no reason at all, without an investigation. Knowing that if Iran just unleashed a slew of rockets into Israel, it would instantly ignite World War III. Especially if they went boasting about it in the way that the United States has done. Even especially if they're trying to blame Israel for something that they hadn't even had any proof of doing, right? Or even in some cases been disproven, like where the allegations have been disproven because 2016, they didn't find anything. 2013, they didn't find anything. Mattis confirmed this. The OPCW just reconfirmed this for you. And now we found out in 2018, same exact thing. People, I gotta be a coward, or those people are incredibly brave. Because to live in a country where you have this bully across the water who can just fire off rockets at you whenever they feel like, over selfish interests in which you likely have nothing to do with it. That's incredible to me. I can never do it. Talk about privilege. How does it feel to know that nobody will ever run into your house because some country paid them to pretend like their enemies are allies? Or, when the U.S. ran up in houses in Iraq pretending like we were the friends. They show you all those pictures of soldiers carrying kids. Oh, we love the soldiers. Why did you kill my daddy? I'm happy that Assad was exonerated. I'm happy that the Syrian army was exonerated. I'm happy that it seems to me that even though the OPCW was put together by the Security Council, which obviously is headed by the United States as a permanent member, but it seems to me that the OPCW has done and is doing a thorough job, a nonpartisan job, and even taking a look back in 2016, for them to have gone into this much detail where they could have just did a little quick scrape, and then, yeah, they did it. It does give me a little bit of hope, because transparency and exposure is the first step really into finding solutions. But we just gotta start talking about this stuff. When does it end? Good God. When does it end? When do we start saying, like, when do other countries finally just get fed up with us? I'm serious. Now, luckily, from everything I've read, there weren't a lot of casualties, if at all. The numbers have been like, somebody said 300, somebody said 3 soldiers. So, I mean, it really depends. Even Syria's media hasn't been clear about the amount of casualties, and I think that was for a reason. I'm actually in a weird camp for this particular situation. I think that Trump pretended like he was okay with the process not being investigated, but he remembers how they made him look like a fool last time. So he said, cool. Yeah, we'll attack some random buildings. I think he called Putin because him and Putin are indeed homies, but not in a bad way. I think that they both have the deep state coming after them, and so they have to work together in some ways, and I'm okay with that. But he probably called Putin, was like, look, which facilities are empty? And if there are, empty of people, I mean, we're going to bomb these facilities. We think that if there are any chemical weapons there, it'll be taken care of. But at least we know for a fact that there won't be a lot of civilians around. So let everybody know. And Trump, what he did is said, what should we do, everybody? And he kind of sat back and watched and listened, right? And I think he was like, who here thinks we should bomb everybody? Raise your hand. Everybody was like, oh, me. And I think he started looking at, okay, I can't trust this person. 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 Because if you and I knew that there was no evidence of chemical weapons, if Rand Paul even came out and admit that there was no evidence of chemical weapons, if Mad Dog Mattis comes out with all of his neo-connery and says that there was no evidence of the earlier chemical attack. However, we're going to find some. So there wasn't evidence then. Trump, at a certain point, you gotta assume is at least smart enough to be like, I should probably watch my six on this one because this could be a setup. And I think that's what he did. I think that he actually was not dumb enough to fall for the let's go into an all-out war with Syria. I think that he watched Maddow the next day. I think he watched Joanne Reed and CNN and all these neocons and neoliberals alike and Twitter personalities and Hillary herself, I believe, and at least that was what happened in 2016. He watched as they beat the war drums in unison. They were in harmony. Bomb Syria so our stocks can go up. In unison, they all beat the war drums, and I think Trump was like, yeah, I'm going to take a step back. We're going to see who's going to tell me to do this, knowing we don't have proof. And then I'm going to start making some cuts to the team after that. And I think that's what he did. Which, like I said, is kind of smart. But we still shouldn't be able to just launch rockets at whoever the hell we want to, all willy-nilly without an investigation. Period, point blank. There's no other way to put it. I'm sure most of you would agree with that, right? I don't care if you're on the left or on the right. We shouldn't be able to just bomb people when we freaking feel like it. Now, this point leads me into the next big thing that I don't think a lot of people have covered, which is the North Korea deal, or the lack thereof, or the one that once was. I don't know anymore. When Trump came out and said that he was going to be willing to work with North Korea and make peace, I don't understand how people could have been mad at that. But there were. The same people who were just absolutely adamant about the belief that Trump would probably start a nuclear war, World War III, whatever, with Kim Jong-un. Remember, they were so adamant about that. They believed that in their hearts and souls, Trump was such a loose cannon that he couldn't negotiate with anybody. He couldn't work with anybody. He can't work with our allies. He can't work with the enemies. He can't work with. So those same people, when Trump decided, you know what? I'm going to work with you. Let's see what you got. And everybody comes like, whoa, skirt, pump your brakes. You can't work with them. Why can't you work with? Why? I don't understand. What's the issue? I'm thinking that the world is going to rejoice. No, I'm not really thinking that. I've been doing this long enough to know that the world is not going to rejoice whenever Trump does anything good. His base will rejoice. A few of us, the populace of the world, will rejoice. But mostly the entire establishment, everybody who just, fawns over anything the establishment says about Trump, they're going to hate. It doesn't matter what he does. So I didn't really think that, but it felt good to say that I thought that, because maybe just possibly if I woke up, it would be like, oh my God, what a beautiful day. Did you see Trump didn't send us to war? Who would have thought that shit? But hey, congratulations, we're not going to die today. Like, it would have been nice to wake up to that. It's not what happened, though. I woke up to Why is Trump being so soft on Kim Jong-un? Why is Trump willing to work with other dictators but not willing to work with our allies? And I'm like, well, there was a lot of things wrong with that. You're telling me the same person who was too temperamental, and that temperament was going to unquestionably lead us into World War III. We just knew that for a fact. I didn't say that. I never thought that. I thought it was hyperbole the entire time. But the establishment thought that. Or at least they tried to pretend like they thought that. And people, of course, echoed it, because that's what echo chambers are. Unfortunately, in an echo chamber, everything echoes, even the bullshit, right? So, those same people, I wake up the next morning, people, and holy freaking shit, I was like, did Rachel Maddow just try to spin this as to somehow Putin is influencing Trump to create peace with Korea? Oh my God. I didn't know whether to laugh, because it gets worse, people. It gets worse, actually. What made it even worse was that the Dems, the very next morning, after all the war profiteering stocks dropped, they all, or not all of them, a lot of them decided to introduce legislation to prevent Trump from following through with the peace deal, because it would have disallowed him from unilaterally pulling troops out. By the way, didn't actually unilaterally prevent him from surging troops in anywhere, just from pulling them out. That's really weird. We're taking your power away to bring peace, Mr. President. We don't trust you with it. You haven't had a good track record with it. So the day after war profits died, that's what legislation got introduced. And it gets even worse, because you want to know one of the talking points? I'm so serious. You would have swear it came right out of Sarah Palin's mouth. One of the talking points for the Democrats was that our military, they're not bargaining chips. What? What does that even mean? People, if I'm in the military, I'm a vet. You all know this. When I was in, if you would have made me a bargaining chip for peace by saying, we'll pull you out of a war, we'll pull you out of danger, we'll pull you out of gunfire, out of the I mean, if you've been on the DMZ, it's not fun. Anybody will tell you that. If you ever use me in a bargaining chip, as a bargaining chip in peace, or for peace, I'm all about being that chess piece. I'm all about being that checkers piece. Bargain me, please. Just bet me. Hey, we're gonna take Niko out if you do what you're supposed to do. Now, I know that's a bargain, okay? I don't want to use my soldier's chip, but we're gonna take him out. You know what I'm gonna say? All right, sir, whatever it takes, anything to see for this country. That's what I'm saying. Now, they were like, they don't have a problem using us for bargaining chips by sending us to Syria to look for chemical weapons that don't exist, putting us in danger of 50,000 rebel groups that are at each other's throat. We don't know whose side we're on at this point. But they use the neocon talking point. That is literally the most neocon talking point that you can use. Our military, they're not bargaining chips. What? You know, when you think of the stereotypical ways that politicians answer questions whenever people are trying to use extreme examples of like how they dodge and parry, just generally escape answering any question. This was almost like it was like like you weren't even prompted for this dumb ass statement. It was an unforced error, okay? Yeah, we're gonna pass legislation because our military is in bargaining chips. Yeah, nailed it. High five. The Democratic establishment was like, yeah, good job. That'll do it. So after the North Korea deal was looking just fantastic, after Trump showed humility, after he put his hubris to the side, actually, which I, till this day, find to be one of the most commendable things that any president has done. Whenever Trump, as a sign of good faith, made the decision to pull troops out of the peninsula, stop the exercises because they made Kim Jong-un uncomfortable, that showed me, demonstrated that Trump understands why most countries would be a little hesitant to take our word for anything. Just look at what happened in Iran. After we supposedly weren't going to, we put sanctions on them for nuclear weapons, but then we ended up throwing more sanctions on them even after the Iran deal because they launched a satellite into the air. They launched a satellite. We just put more sanctions on them. Didn't give a reason at all. Other than, well, ballistic missiles may have violated the deal, but our goal in the Iran deal, like I said, the Iran deal is malarkey. It's BS. Just in case you're wondering, they were still slapping on sanctions on Iran, and then at the same time, like, give me a reason. Like, if you're feeling froggy, then leave. We're gonna still slap these sanctions onto you, because how else do you destabilize a country that's going to be a threat for you economically? You cripple them and say that their way of life isn't working and then blame the leaders for it. So people are, uneasy. They want to protest. They come in, they jump out at you saying we want regime change. And America just steps in with this magnanimous military. We say, hey guys, we got you. Here's a PSYOP pamphlet for you, propaganda pamphlet for you. Come enlist in our rebel military. Here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. Next thing you know, we have another Ayatollah in power. But it's neither here nor there. My point is, Trump demonstrated a little bit of humility. And that is something that I think goes greatly unrecognized by everybody. Nobody's really talked about it, not even on the right, which is surprising because, at any for all the mainstream anyway, it's literally always Trump just took a dump. Look at how that is chocolatey rich. Is that a diamond? Is that a diamond in there? Oh my God, Trump. Oh my God. And Trump's ass, well, yes, that is a diamond. Truthfully, I can't eat chicken wings without diamonds in them because, well, I have very exquisite tastes, even for a president. It's really hard to keep up this amount of energy, going golfing every week. And being the president can be a little stressful, and the diamonds help me keep my energy up because quite honestly, they sold out of baby blood. So diamonds it has to be. So, and he would literally co-op, but I'm just saying. But that's usually where his hubris is at. But Fox News did not take advantage of saying, like, look, this is actually a different version of Donald Trump that we saw in that particular deal. Gained a little respect for him with that. But everybody tried to turn it into a negative thing. Now, here's the news that just came out last week about the North Korea. I don't want to say news. I'm going to say the allegations that are totally 100% baseless. And in fact, not only are they baseless, we have reason to believe that they are just straight up lies. So, NBC got intel. Oh yeah, you go. If you're listening on American Freedom Radio or if you're listening on a podcast, there's a lot of quotes going up right now, just letting you know. So if you hear the random pauses or random inflections in my voice that sound the same every time I say a word, it's because you're witnessing quotes through the radio. Just envision me doing it in a nice shirt and some cool glasses. So, let's begin. So, NBC got some intel about North Korea still enriching nuclear uranium in secret sites that they've known about for months, and they never said anything until the deal actually looked like it was going to go through, and so they decided I've run out of quotes. Okay, my fingers are cramped. But my point is, it's all bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm just going to go ahead and call it like it is. It is not true. You're telling me that they've been aware of this intel, because they're saying that they've been there for months. And they even went out of their way to say, even during the diplomacy stage, can you believe Kim Jong-un had the nerve? Trump, he was playing you like a fool. Look at these secret sites that we didn't know about. Until just now, after the Democrats tried to kill the deal. Why didn't they cite that in the legislation? Makes you wonder. If you knew about this, why not cite it in the legislation? Maybe because you're full of shit. People, I know that some of you may not be familiar with this. But at some point, in 2016, there was this allegation that started with a guy named Gucci II, then WikiLeaks, and then, well, these intelligence agencies, a lot of them apparently are imaginary, all agreed that Russia hacked our elections for the benefit of Donald J. Trump. And if you questioned it, you are a Putin puppet. You are a Trumpster. You are a Bernie bro. Now, this all started, which a lot of people forget, this all started when 2 agents, anonymous, of course, as always, kind of doubled down on the Russian narrative. Which, once again, ironically enough, started, or coincidentally enough, I should say, started with NBC. I'm not joking. So the same NBC that used anonymous sources on a narrative that has been disproven time and time again. I believe it's either Ben Norton or Glenn Greenwald does a thorough job of calling out every single time a part of the Russian narrative falls through the cracks. Now that we know about the corruption within one intel organization as far as the Russian narrative is concerned, the FBI, we're going to be silly enough to believe that the CIA wasn't just as corrupt. Now that we know about the retractions, oh my God, I'm pretty sure that this had to be the year of it, retractions. I'm pretty sure that there's probably never, not in the last 2 years, has there ever been more retractions. Just from at every level. MSNBC, CNN, all of them. New York Times, every single article from the Daily Beast that never gets retracted, although they should be. We've never seen so many retracted articles, and yet they're still hitting you with the bullshit. If I made such an allegation, like Russia is hacking our elections, people, and I didn't come to you with anything other than I got this directly from this person in this position because of this, and even still some of y'all wouldn't believe me. Trust me, I know. I had a little experience in it. Even with names in the track. But MSNBC walks up and says, hey, just take our word for it, peeps. Take our word for it. We're pretty positive this time. We're pretty positive, again, that we're right about this. We think that there are probably weapons somewhere. Hold up, boy. Didn't y'all tell us that there were weapons also in Syria? Remember that? Y'all? Well, yeah, that was different. Here's probably what's most interesting about that. It's that the CIA actually refused to comment on this particular issue. Now, here's why that's funny. Think about something. Who picked head of the CIA last time? Think about it. Who picked CIA last time? Obama. So, of course, they were going to say whatever the hell Obama told them to say, or whatever that administration told them to say. But who picked the head of the CIA this time? Well, Trump did, after there was some disagreements. Right at pretty much, I think if I recall, right after the chemical weapons situation in 2016, they started that conversation about getting somebody new in because they couldn't trust them, clearly. Now, obviously, what's her face? I don't even remember her name. I don't want to remember her name. But she is a terrorist. She tortures and terrorizes people for a living. But more than anything else, she knows who got her job, and she knows who will take her job the moment she ever decides to betray Trump. Trump is petty like that. He will call you out on your bullshit. And so if you're going to make an accusation that could potentially embarrass him and end a peace deal that his career would probably be codified. There are people right now arguing that Trump is one of the best presidents in history, and I'm not in that camp, but there are people who argue that. And from their perspective, what they define as a good president, or at least a better president, I should say, they truly feel like Trump has done a better job than a lot of other presidents. Now, God forbid this man brokers peace between North Korea, South Korea, and the United States. That's a problem. That's going to be up there for a while, people. All of our presidents have ended peace. Seemingly. We don't broker peace. We broke peace. We broke it. And then we break it. It's no longer existent when we come into the room. If we're in your negotiations, understand, we didn't jump into your negotiations to stop a war from happening. We came into your negotiations to make sure that war was going to happen. We were just trying to figure out how many weapons can we put both of y'all down for as we sell them to you. That's what America's known for. So, it's kind of stupid for Trump if he believes anything that they're telling him about North Korea after they lied to him about not Syria not once but twice. After that same establishment tried to throw him under the bus, calling him treasonous, a traitor. Trump has his issues, but the issues that he has are unfortunately non-unique to Donald Trump. To Donald Trump is, I am 100% certain, is using his office for personal financial gain, and he should probably be impeached under the emolument clause. He should. I'm certain that he's using. You know why I know this? Because, like I said, he is non-unique. The Congress and the Senate would never, ever, ever, ever suggest impeaching Trump under the emolument clause. Do you know why? Because all of them could be impeached under the emolument clause. Most of them, not everybody. But when you are a congressperson where your salary, I think, is what, 100, maybe a little bit over 100,000 a year, maybe more, maybe less. When your salary looks like that, but somehow you're worth 25 million or 20 million or 18 million. I know investments are good. I know the market has been booming from the 1%, but what the hell? Like, Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State while the Clinton Foundation was just raking it in. Literally. Obama, he was worth 300,000, 400,000 before he was president. Michelle, on the other hand, was racked out shoddy. Okay, what that means is Michelle's worth $13 million because she's been a powerful attorney. She was already working with the government in Illinois, so that's not really all that surprising. But by the end of it, Obama was worth $13 million. Any decision that he makes potentially, or at least no, it's hard for me to be okay. Like, so for example, it's hard for me to be okay with the president investing in the stock market while they're actively in office. I mean, you don't have to pay for anything. Maybe you can leave it in an account that accrues interest, but like if you're going full on aggressive stock market, like one speech can influence everything in the market, and you could profit off of it instantaneously. How? How? That shouldn't be okay. But Obama did it. Hillary profited off of her office. Trump is unquestionably. I think it's silly to think otherwise. I think you are being naive. If you know anything about politics or politicians or about billionaires, billionaires don't stay billionaires or become billionaires without taking advantage of their opportunities. That is not what they do. There is a rule that I generally live by. There is no such thing as an honest, well, not an honest, an innocent. There's no such thing as an innocent billionaire. It's impossible. It is an impossibility. What I mean by that is you're partaking in, investing in, participating in labor, like unjust labor practices. And that's like a minimum of the bad things that you're participating in. So, or you're taking advantage of a position that you're in that you were elected for personal gain. No such thing as an innocent billionaire. Even the good ones. And they'll even tell you that. So, I think that Trump needs to be mindful of the people he keeps around him from now on. You cannot allow. You do some idiotic things sometimes, you say some idiotic things at times, but don't be an idiot. Don't let your legacy be ruined, even though you have all the evidence to show, right? Hey, they lied about Russiagate. They lied on you about Russiagate. The one thing that they could get you on, they're not going to get you on because you know as well as they do, they're all profiting from their offices. Or at least that's the majority of them. You're not like they lied about Syria the first time. They lied about it the second time. We've recently found out they were lying about it in 2013 under Obama with the quote-unquote red line that Obama conspicuously put out there right before it was crossed. What a coincidence. Because everybody, whenever I want to fight with the United States of America, when they tell me not to do something, I specifically do it because I think I can win the war. Nobody has ever said that ever. Nobody. Except for Hitler. But we didn't beat him, Russia did. Let's be clear about that. We just bullied people. We bullied Japan into submission. And we're kind of chilling in Africa, trying to protect the Great Britain's colonies, and we kind of were in Europe for a little bit, and that's pretty much it. But I digress. Anyway, but you've seen countless examples of how the establishment will lie to you, especially you. You're the president, and you're outside of the establishment. And to be quite honest, you weren't their first pick, if you recall. I think you and I both remember that. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. And I always tell people, if you're curious, like, you have to measure everything in pockets. You can't just, and of course you want to put things together also, but you have to measure things like as you, especially when it comes to Trump, you have to kind of measure things in a vacuum. His the success of his presidency will absolutely be on a spectrum. Okay, let's just go ahead and say that. But with North Korea, some of you are wondering whether or not that it was a deep state psyop or something that benefited the deep state because, well, they don't allow things like that to happen. And that was a very good point. Judging from everything we've learned in the past, especially from Syria, from Iran, from Palestine, from Argentina, you know, the general examples that we always use. When the deep state doesn't want something to happen, it seems like they will go through extraordinary measures to make sure that it does not happen. So the moment, mind you, so they attacked him, saying that he would never do such a thing. And then when it actually happened, what took place? The stocks dropped. Remember that. When the deep state wants something to happen, stocks don't drop. Well, except for when they want an overall market crash, but this is war profiteering stocks. Nobody. That's the one thing you stay invested in. Because, you know, usually that doesn't get affected by anything. We still gonna find money to send soldiers to kill innocent people, so it's not going anywhere. But so the stocks dropped and all the war profiting markets, and then the Dems once again introduced legislation that would have effectively prevented the deal from going through. That's two. And now we have, like I said, this example of 5 anonymous, once again, 5 anonymous intel people that nobody knows, nobody's seen, but we can just trust, we can take their word for it. Because those intel people have done so well in the past. They've been above reproach. Their facts have been without question 100% substantiated, except for all of the times that they have not been substantiated. I mean, people, we can go all the way back to weapons of mass destruction. We can go even further back. I mean, how far back? Like, we invented Islamic extremism, people, but we say that it came from, you know, that Iran started, or you know, we lie right now saying that Iran's the biggest funder of terrorist organizations, which is literally not true. If you don't want to count us, we can go down a list of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, Israel. Where you want to, I mean, we can go all day. Iran is at the bottom of that list, people. We are far ahead of them. That's for damn sure. I remember since I saw a video that came out where a guy visited Iran. He was actually a Jewish guy, visited Iran, and he was like, yeah, this is really not exactly what we are told about it. Like, they have all these same things that we have. They have the same struggles that we have as people. But they're not like Saudi Arabia, hyper oppressive, dictatorial, like oligarchical, royal family driven. Like, it's not like that. It's not like Sharia law in Iran. They don't practice Wahhabism. But my point is, it really points out the lies that were sold every single day about Iran. We were sold lies about Cuba and life there, and who was really on the side of the working class people and all that good stuff. We were lied about. Really, we're still being lied to about South Africa in some ways. We were lied to about, we're being lied to right now about Brazil and why their currency is so unstable. That was us. We did that. We also unseated their first, you know, one of the guys that got to be the first president, super nationalist, not like back then when it wasn't bad. He wanted to like nationalize their economy. Yeah, you're a communist. Remove them, regime change. And we permanently deteriorated their economy. There's no reason that Brazil shouldn't have the same, if not better if not better than the United States. And I say that because they have damn near permanently tropical climate in almost every part of the country, with the same resources, if not more, as the United States. Same demographics, racially, ethnically, and otherwise. Same opportunities, but their inflation is insanity. It's crazy, up and down, up and down, up and down. So that's another country we're lied to about. We're just told that their economy is unstable, but they don't tell you exactly why their economy is unstable. And that the impeachment, that where those millions of people were all out at the same time, that was staged. It was like the Women's March. It was paid for. We're lied to about Venezuela right now. They tell you that socialism killed Venezuela, which is totally untrue. Venezuela has always had an unstable economy. Not as unstable as it is right now, but just think about this. And I need you all to really understand something. When you have that much oil, socialism is not going to do you in. I don't give a damn who you are. They're one of the most oil-rich countries in the world. Socialism didn't kill them. The United States did. And if you ask most people from Venezuela, they will tell you this. So we're lied to about that. I see something about some breaking news. Witness to Seth Rich murder confirmed. I did see that there has been a witness to Seth Rich's murder. I don't know what it will result in. Just because we know he was murdered. I'm hoping maybe that they can identify somebody with the camera footage. And if they arrest somebody, that they start singing like a caged bird. That would be beautiful. But anything to help bring some justice to Seth Rich and his family would be more than welcome by me, and I'm sure would be more than welcome by you, all of us. I mean, they try to say it's about conspiracy theory. It's not no damn conspiracy theory, people. We just say, hey, you're the same group of people who run into a house because one too many cars pull in and out the driveway, and you assume that that person's a drug dealer. You do that with minimum to no investigation. But somebody who is a Democratic operative, who was high profile, even gets mentioned in Donna Brazil's book. The Democrats speak on his behalf. It was eerie and scary whenever. Ugh. But we say investigate. That's it, literally it. All we say is investigate, please. And we're all right-wing conspiracy theorists. Isn't it? It's crazy. This is how corrupt the process has become. They've convinced the entire establishment left, and some of the neoliberal left, and some of the neocons also, that the progressive Democrat who was killed during the primary election, who was primarily mourned and remembered at the time by progressives, is being elevated as a right-wing conspiracy theory. That's the establishment for you. With that being said, people, thank you all so much for tuning into this evening's episode of Mikasa Tsukasa. Remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.